I'll take things that never happened for 1,000, Alex. There's a concerted effort right now going on online to have us believing that Kamala Harris is not only wildly popular, but also Republicans and even Trump supporters are voting for her. And I call BS on that, okay? This woman is so insanely unpopular. She dropped out of the presidential race leading up to 2020 in December the year prior in disgrace. She had not won a single delegate. Amy Klobuchar won more delegates than her, and she's remained unpopular every damn day since. The American people's perception of her did not change once she became the VP, okay? Her disapproval rating has remained high throughout the entire past 4 years. And then, suddenly, overnight, Joe Biden drops out, effectively gifts her the nomination, which is, again, not how democracy works. And we're supposed to believe that literally almost overnight, this woman has the momentum, the enthusiasm behind her, reminiscent of '08 Obama. I don't buy it. Tell me what changed. I also don't buy that Republicans, let alone Trump supporters, are supporting her. Because where were the Republicans for Biden t-shirts? Where were the "I voted for Trump, but I'm supporting Biden" posts? Where was that whole trend going on social media? Well, it wasn't. Despite the fact that we all thought Biden was the nominee for a really long time. And if you love Kamala Harris, you should have loved Joe Biden, because Kamala Harris is Joe Biden. Joe Biden is Kamala Harris. She owns his failed policies over the course of the past 4 years. For all intents and purposes, Kamala is Joe Biden, just a little younger, a little darker, a little more female, and much more radical, okay? So nothing should have changed for you. The fact that Joe Biden dropped out and, again, essentially gifted the nomination to Kamala, which is not how democracy works, that shouldn't have changed anything for you as a Republican, because she's Joe Biden. She owns his policies. It's not as if she's a fresh newcomer and she's got y'all excited. No. She's been in office the past 4 years. She is Joe Biden. She is the Biden-Harris regime. So give me a break on this idea that Trump supporters are suddenly going for her. Add to that the fact that Donald Trump hasn't done anything in recent weeks or months that would cause his supporters to not only stop supporting him, but then actively support his complete antithesis. No. That is BS. It's also BS that Republicans are voting for Kamala Harris. And I get that there are Republicans who hate Donald Trump. That is certainly nothing new. It's one of the reasons I love him, by the way. But at most, these never Trump Republicans would leave the presidential box blank, or they would write in a candidate like DeSantis or Haley, whoever the real conservative is. They're not going to go and vote for Kamala Harris. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. Kamala Harris is the most radical presidential candidate we have ever had, presidential nominee we've ever had. Tim Walz is more radical than Gavin Newsom. I posted about that last week. That is verifiably true. He's more radical than Gavin Newsom. This is the most radical ticket we've ever had, and you're telling me that you hate Donald Trump so much that you're not going to write in a conservative candidate? You're going to vote for Kamala Harris? Why would you vote for a ticket that doesn't stand for a single conservative value, doesn't stand for a single Republican policy? It's not happening. I'm sorry, it's not happening. And if, in fact, you are a Republican for Harris, I've got news for you. You're a Democrat. You're a Democrat for two reasons. Number one, you're voting for a Democrat. That's usually a pretty good sign. And number two, your sole reason for voting for that Democrat is she's not orange man bad. That's what Democrats do. They vote for Democrats, and their entire rationale behind it is, well, they're not Donald Trump, so that makes you a Democrat. Okay, I'm sorry to break the news to you. But just because all that's a lie, this manufactured mass popularity, the idea that Republicans and Trump supporters are going over to her side, it's not a lie that there are Republicans who are planning on not voting for Trump. And that is the most foolish thing that you could do in this election, especially if you live in a swing state. This goes beyond your hatred for Donald Trump. It really does. If Harris takes the White House, I really believe that we will not have another legitimate U.S. president, because the powers that be will know for certain that they can not only install a candidate and the people will accept it, but actually that candidate can go on to take the White House, to take the highest position in the land. I don't think we'll have another legitimate primary season or primary process ever again. And even if America survives 4 years of a Harris presidency and comes out still looking like some semblance of America, There are other things at stake here, again, than your hatred for Donald Trump. For example, the next president very likely is going to get to appoint at least one Supreme Court justice. Right now, the only institution even remotely friendly to conservatives is the Supreme Court. And you want to gamble that. You want to play with fire, all so that you can rid your precious GOP of Donald Trump. That is the epitome of putting candidate over country. It is foolishness. In an election, the wisest thing to do is to vote for the candidate who most closely aligns with your values, who has an actual shot at winning, especially in a national election when we're talking about broad policies and the entire nation. It is wise to vote for the candidate who most closely resembles your values, who has an actual shot at winning. Any election between two men, between two people, is an election between the lesser of two evils. And change isn't going to happen overnight. The leftists, the communists, they didn't take over overnight. They did it inch by inch over the course of decades. And yet what I see all around me is conservatives and Republicans who expect change to happen overnight, who only want to go for the most conservative candidate or the real Republican candidate and want it all to happen overnight, the abortion ban, everything, and it's not going to happen overnight. This election is going to be either Donald Trump or Kamala Harris or whoever the radical Democrats prop up. And the choice should be clear for you. Every single Republican, every single conservative, every single remotely conservative person, every single hardline conservative person, every single sane person, every single patriot should be coalescing right now behind Donald Trump. So even though I don't buy this idea that she's massively popular, I do think she's a threat. And even though I don't buy this idea that Republicans, let alone Trump supporters, are going over to her side, I do think she's a threat. And I do think it's a threat that currently, right now, there are Republicans and conservatives who are refusing to vote for Donald Trump.